Infosys was the first Indian company to be listed on Nasdaq.
Because Infosys Murthy had told us, we may not be the biggest, but we have to be the best. So all of us in our area of operation wanted to be the best. And best means global standards, beating global standards. 1 year back when I went on TV and said the government is very corrupt.
Okay. What happened then?
Nothing. The chief minister called me up and said, why are you saying this? What have I done? And all that.
Delhi Chief Minister?
No. But look, these things happen only in Karnataka. The greatest thing you can achieve in your life is the respect of society. You may not be the richest, but you must be respected.
If you have to predict the future of the country, how that could be?
India is among the top 3 countries in the world: United States, China, and India. Europe is not there. Our GDP was 275 billion in 91. In March 2023, it's gone to 3.45 trillion. It's a growth of 8.2% a year in dollar terms over 32 years. We added more to GDP in the last 10 years than we added in the last 65 years. I respect Narayana Murthy. The biggest thing he has done, for which I admire him, is that he has tackled the biggest problem India has. The brand equity for India is very wrong because, Jawaharlal Nehru's policies from 1950 had impoverished India, made us poorer. In fact, Gandhi ji has said, this desh mein sarkar vyapari hai, us desh mein janta bikari hai. Today, the biggest challenge for a republic is the broken justice system. Because any case that goes to court takes 8-10 years to resolve, then it goes in appeal. It takes 15-20 years.
What would be the future skills in the world of AI? Greetings everyone. In this series of Exploring Minds, we are talking to greatest institutional builders of India. And today, the guest we have was also the ex-CFO of Infosys. He is a Padma Shri Awardee. He also happened to be board of a lot of companies like Havells, institutions like NSE, SEBI. You studied law in your college, right?
I went to the law college.
Did it make you fearless or did it amplify? You had a rebellious childhood, right?
So I did my CA and law was a complementary. And studying law allows you to understand how societies work, how business is run. It makes you a much more knowledgeable person. And in business, the knowledge of law is essential because when you learn law, you understand the intricacies of interaction with other entities in the society and business. So I think it is interesting and it certainly helped me a lot.
Lovely. And what's one distinct memory from your college days which shaped you fundamentally, which kind of changed your way of thinking about life? Did something happen?
In college, we were rebels because being much younger at that point of time, we were people who always fought against the establishment for the sake of fighting against the establishment. So it's got nothing to do with what you are.
So rebels without cause.
Well, rebels with a cause.
Okay.
You always have a cause. The cause may be not right because in college we march for disarmament. So it was the NGO who came and said that you must fight for disarmament, blah, blah, blah. And we did all that. So I think it was interesting. Then just during the emergency, so we marched in the street for the emergency. And that, set us apart because we were people who were fighting for a cause.
Right.
I graduated in 1979 in the commerce degree and did my CA in 1982. Those are very different days.
Right. And what was your first job after college, sir?
Well, I didn't want to work anywhere. I started my practice as a CA. And it was a very interesting time because there were not many opportunities for everybody. I got my all India rank in my CA. And I got 11 job offers all outside Bangalore.
Right.
And I wanted to stay in Bangalore. So I started practice because I didn't want to be an employee.
And why was that?
Well, just like that, I wanted to be independent. I didn't want to have a boss. I didn't want to report to anybody. It's just where you are.
And how did you, so, you were attending an analyst conference and you ended up asking a couple of questions to Infosys founders, Mr. Nandan.
No, it was the AGM.
It was the AGM?
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah, of course. It was very unique because by the time I was 21, I think I had a collection of 2,500 annual reports. I read all those annual reports and we used to go to shareholders meeting and ask questions of management because many companies were doing IPOs coming to the market and we should go to shareholders meeting.
Right.
So a friend of mine who's a banker told me that there's a company that's raising capital, that they're going for a investors meet. So I went to the hotel and saw them present, Murthy and Nandan, and asked them a few questions. Then we bought the shares in the pre-IPO private placement.
Right.
And then I went to the AGM because I suddenly one day saw the annual report on my table. So I went to the AGM and I asked a few questions. And later I met them in their office. I met them, and one day Nandan came and had lunch with me and said, "Why don't you come and join?" And that point of time, the company where I was working was a family company. They're having a family fight, and so I wanted to leave. But I told them that I will join as a consultant, not as an employee. So I joined as a consultant in January of 1994. So it was exciting. So that's the way it was. And I worked with Narayan Murthy to prepare the first annual report for Infosys in 1990 for the 94 annual report, and did a lot of other things.
And the report got famous. It won the awards.
Yeah, it won all the awards in India. The first time, it was a report of extremely high quality and disclosure. And I'm told that the reports were sold in the black market in Bombay because they were scarce. We are given to all the shareholders, but it was so very highly regarded. So Infosys set standards. Because the Infosys Murthy had told us, we may not be the biggest, but we have to be the best. So all of us in our area of operation wanted to be the best. And best means global standards, beating global standards. So in finance and disclosure, we did many things. We beat global standards, which set standards for India. We produce our annual report in the gap of 7 countries.
Gap of 7 countries.
Gap is accounting.
Okay.
Generally accepted accounting principle of 7 countries.
Wow.
Because those days there's no IFRS, no international gap. There was
only
US gap, UK gap, Australian gap, French gap, German gap, etc. And of course, Indian accounting. So we did human resource accounting, we did economic value added, and we were quoted on the front page of Economic Times to say that we are valuing our every employee at so-and-so lakhs, etc. They have a model. Very unique in the country. We gave quarterly accounts, we gave quarterly audited accounts. We set up corporate governance standards for investor protection. So most of the corporate governance standards that you see in the country today have come from Infosys at a time when it was not required. We did it voluntarily to set standards.
And what was the thought behind this?
Well, we wanted to be the best. We wanted to be transparent, and we wanted to give all the information about the company because we are in the public domain. It was just challenging ourselves and being transparent. It was a culture of the company to be extremely transparent, open.
And this was all drawing from the founders of the Infosys?
No, it is many things that we did individually. The culture was we have to be open and transparent. That is culture the founders, Narayan Murthy, has set. And Murthy was the prime driver of all that. Because he wanted to Infosys to be the best company. And he should tell us, the greatest thing you can achieve in your life is the respect of society. You may not be the richest, but you must be respected. And for people, society to respect you, you must have high ethical standards. You must have high standards of governance. And you must be seen as a good leader. Please remember, these are all middle-class values. All of us were in the middle class. We are not born to rich parents. We had a good education. We worked very hard. We did well in our colleges. We came up. Nobody gave us a break. We worked hard. And we had pride as professionals. We had pride as having good middle-class values. And the values were very important to us. It also meant that you never use company money for personal purposes. You never travel with your spouse. Anybody made the company pay. We didn't have parties using the company money. You got a salary and that's it. You did whatever you want with it. So it's a very arm's length way of living, which we practice. And it set the tone for everybody. And people were very proud of what we did and how we did it.
Wow. So Infosys was the first Indian company to be listed on Nasdaq.
We wanted to be listed in Nasdaq for many strategic reasons, not because we wanted money. We had enough cash in the balance sheet because we had cash surplus for a long time. We had 60% of our revenues coming from the United States. And being a small company, people there may wonder, why are we dealing with this faraway small company in a faraway strange country called India? You must remember those days, India was not well known. India was looked down upon as a country of poor people on the verge of starvation. The brand equity for India is very wrong. Because, Jawaharlal Nehru's policies from 1950 had impoverished India, made us poorer.
What were those particular policies which led us to that stage?
Please remember, we were a free trading nation throughout history. We are the richest country in the world till 1750. because we were free traders. We had large manufacturing, etc. The British came and then exploited us. And then the Industrial Revolution started in Great Britain. That led to the age of the machines. And because of many reasons, we became a British colony and we were impoverished. But we are a free market economy, free trading country, and we traded with the entire world. When Nehru started the government in 1950, after the constitution came into being, he brought in licensed Quota Raj. He suppressed private capital. At that point of time in 1947, of the 5 richest families in Asia, 3 were Indian. India's economy was in good shape because China was destroyed in the war. Japan was destroyed, Southeast Asia was destroyed, and India had $1.5 billion due as debt from Great Britain for the war effort.
Right.
And that's the time when he brought in licensed Quota Raj. And Gandhiji had told him not to do that. In fact, Gandhiji has said, this desh mein sarkar vyapari hai, us desh mein janta bikari hai. So we all became bikaris because he suppressed private capital. And because he suppressed private capital, Indian private industry did not go. It centralized economic power in Delhi. It impoverished the state. State could not decide on economic policies. And bribery started, all corruption started. Everything started at that point of time because of the decision. Because when economic decisions are taken in Delhi, when government has a share in business, they put their hand in the till. And that's exactly what happened. But in 1950 to 1980, India grew at 3.5% a year. The world grew at 4.5%. Asia grew at 6.5%. Until 1980, we became poorer relatively compared to 1950. And it was terrible. It was very bad years because he suppressed private capital. It didn't allow India's industrialists to expand. They said that if you, produce more than what you got a license for, we'll prosecute you, put you in jail. It was ridiculous.
And you mean government has no business to be in business? And that's what
government has no business to be in business or to indulge in activities which inhibit your economic rights. For example, we got political freedom in 1947, but we got economic freedom only in 1991.
Right.
And that made us poor. And the impact of that is felt even now. And when Mao took over in 1949 in China, Mao said, women hold up half of heaven. He educated China's women, gave them literacy. Literacy in China today is 96%. India is still 77%. Women are some 68, 69%. Men are 80, 84%. And we suffer from that because low literacy means, or no literacy means, the women are uneducated, they have more children.
Right.
The data proves that educated women have lesser children. And today, China has become a $20 trillion economy, primarily in the productivity of its workforce, including women. Women participate in economic activities fully. In India, we don't. We are not educated. That is what Nehru did at the beginning. No primary literacy and primary health. These are 2 important attributes. If Gandhi was there, Gandhi would have called upon the people of the country, every village, to start a school and to give literacy to people. Because Gandhi wanted a village-led, bottoms-up, growth strategy. Nehru wanted a top-down, Soviet-style strategy because of intellectual arrogance. Because please remember, after independence, one set of imperialistic rulers were replaced by another set of imperialistic rulers, except they happened to be Indians. So Nehru and his coterie and all the Lutyens Delhi, the families that fed off the system, all came into being. They ruled from Delhi. Nehru put his own daughter as the president of the Congress and then started the family rule. He dissipated all the Congress leaders and even wrote an article anonymously one time saying, after Nehru, who? He is vain and arrogant. And he believed that he had all the answers. There's a story told of JRD Tata when he went to seek an expansion license. Nehru just looked away and said, profit is a dirty word in his lexicon. And he wanted to control the economy, control the lives of people. Yes, he built a couple of IITs. But the mistakes that Nehru made, we are suffering. The mistakes about Kashmir, the mistakes about China, foreign policy, and not giving us our economic freedom, license Quota Raj, talking about the commanding heights of the economy being commanded by the public sector. There's nothing wrong with the public sector, but public sector cannot by nature be flexible and react to markets. For example, Air India lost 1,35,000 crores. Whose money is that? Our money. Air India was nationalized. And did you get a good experience with nationalization? BSNL was nationalized. And BSNL gave us lousy service. You should stand in queue for everything, right? With Nehru and era, there is shortage of milk, shortage of telephones. Cards were rationed. Everything was rationed. It is disastrous economic policy. And we suffer for it. So,
do you think the current government is rewinding everything everything that...
No, it's not about current government. Right from 1991, we have been getting more and more economic freedom. Now we got more. In the last 10 years, we got more. It's a continuum.
Got it.
The break was in 91. Then it's been a continuum because of political reasons. Because politicians go and say, oh, these are crony capital, this will get money, etc. And then the bureaucrats and the politicians will never let go of something they got. It's only now that natural resources are being auctioned.
Right.
But they're allocated. You could go get a mine. They'll give you a mine and you have to pay money. Now they have to auction. Spectrum is auction. So a lot of wrong things have happened economically and we suffer. But from 91, our GDP was 275 billion in 91. In March 2023, it's gone to 3.45 trillion. It's a growth of 8.2% a year in dollar terms over 32 years.
Nowhere else in the world.
No, China has done well. China has grown at about 9.5-10% for 40 years. And our GDP has 5,32,000 crores. It's gone to 272 lakh crores between 1991 and 2023. A growth of 13% in rupee terms every year. They are extraordinary figures. Just imagine we have started growing like this in the 80s. So at Infosys, we are a child of liberalization. So India liberalized. Duty on import of computers, 175%. Can you believe that? 175%. For what reason? We didn't have computers. They're not being produced, but 175%. Foreign exchange was scarce. You heard stories sometimes of people who have gone to US with $8 in the pocket, no money. Because they wanted dollars. You had to get the dollars from the RBI.
Right.
And the RBI never gave you dollars. They asked you why you want to go, how much money you will spend, where you will spend, etc., all that, right? So you go to the airport, show a passport, they give you $8 without question. So they took $8. And now you go to a passport, I think a passport in the airport, they give you $50, I think. So, those are bad times and deliberately done without any reason. And I never understood all that. But now when I look back, when I study, when I see what happened, I understand. We know the reason for the impoverishment of this country was bad economic policies by Pandit Nehru and his progeny. Indira Gandhi nationalized all the banks, centralized it. Then there was a finance minister, deputy finance minister, Janardhan Pujari, used to have loan melas. So they used to call hundreds of thousands of people and have loan melas and say, give him loans and abuse the bankers. I think you are not much before the time you're born. So you are born to better times.
So one thing which we see in the current world, the economy of freebies, right? Where the government is giving...
No, you see, we should create a country where every human being every citizen gets the necessities of life. That's why I respect Narendra Modi. What has Prime Minister Modi done in the last 10 years? The biggest thing he has done, for which I admire him, is that he has tackled the biggest problem India has, the poverty and the deprivation of our people. He has made sure that almost every Indian has a roof over the head, water in the tap, power in the switch, a toilet in the house, a gas stove, a bank account, money in the bank, a mobile phone, internet connection, food on the table, education for children, health insurance, etc. Now, once people get the necessities of life, they're not fighting for survival. They'll educate the children. They do many more things. They'll have confidence to live with dignity. Because the Constitution promised us dignity of the individual. The Constitution promised us justice. We don't have justice in society. We have a broken justice system. So Narendra Modi has tackled that. Then he has built great infrastructure all over to improve productivity. Because the country can only become wealthy and people can get good life if the productivity of people increases. For productive people, we need better roads, better rails, better airports, etc. Because productivity enhances people's ability to compete. And we should be competitive globally.
Right.
So I think that has been done by him. Then in the overseas, we have greater respect. We stood up to Pakistan. And Pakistan, the terrorist country, we sent terrorists to kill us. How can you talk to a terrorist country? And he stood up to them when they came across. And he said, no more. He stood up to China when China trying to come across the border. And he stood up when the war at Ukraine led to sanctions. And he said, national interest comes first. So I think globally, India's standing has gone up. India, people are much better. People are much richer. We have grown from $2 trillion to $3.7 trillion March 24 in 10 years, which is very good. We added more to GDP in the last 10 years than we added in the last 65 years.
Right.
So a lot of good things have happened and Modi has been there. There's been no corruption in Delhi. Other Delhi was a very, very corrupt place.
Mhm.
Earlier governments, all the ministers used to be corrupt. There's no corruption. Our defense is now become indigenized. 60-70% defense equipment is manufactured here. It's very important because defense spending creates IP, creates
Right.
jobs, and we become self-sufficient. So we have to be self-sufficient to ensure defense. We are 17% of humanity. We're not a small country. We're 17% of humanity.
Wow.
And 17% of humanity deserve the respect that is due. India never got respect globally, barring the first 5 years after independence.
Hmm.
After that, Nehru destroyed the respect that India had. If you want to see what Nehru did, you must read the books of Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore. On Nehru.
Mhm.
Where, Delhi, everybody go, people, a set of people, lieutenants Delhi, who fed up the system, go gaga over Nehru. Nehru did many good things. Yes, many good things. He did many wrong things, and we're suffering for the wrong things. Because as Shakespeare wrote in Julius Caesar, the good that men do is off in turn with the bones. The evil lives on. Kashmir 370, Kashmir, Article 35, all Nehru's creations.
Coming back to the Nasdaq story, sir. What was the challenges? Because you were listing for the first time.
We wanted to list on Nasdaq because our clients, 60% of the clients were US.
Right.
We wanted to create brand equity.
Mhm.
We wanted to create a currency for acquisition. And we wanted to create a way of hiring good people in the Americas by giving them stock options. We had to give them dollar stock options, and that listing created dollar stock options. So we want to raise $72 million. That money is still in the bank because we are cash surplus. And for 72 million, we got a book of 3.6 billion. We're widely oversubscribed. So it was a great success. But, we pulled it off.
And there was a story when Narayan sir said to, you asked to call it off. Why was that?
No, there's a different story. After the first week, we didn't have a book. So Murthy told me on Tuesday in the second week, and Friday was the pricing, that we don't have a book, then it's a failure, let's go back. I said, we can't go back because if you fly over the Atlantic, you jump into the Atlantic.
Right.
Because in Bangalore, there were 5,000 people waiting to see the listing. The media was agog. Everybody is very happy. It was a great event in India, first Indian listed company on Nasdaq. Those days, this is very important. Even now it is important, but those days is very, very important. Then I spoke to Vallabh Bansali, who was the banker, and he told me that he'll talk to the bankers, the overseas bankers. And next day, he said the book is getting subscribed because the book comes the last 2 days.
Right.
So we are all new, and it's a very emotional thing. It's a great event.
Right.
So I remember a very, very small company. That time we were just about $90 million in revenue.
You also started Akshaya Patra, sir.
Yeah, in
With
2000.
2000. Currently, it serves more than 18 lakhs children.
23 lakhs.
23 lakh children every day.
Yeah.
How did the idea came to you? Because you pitched it to the to Miss.
No, I mean in 1997, I'd gone to the ISKCON to a place where an ISKCON temple is getting built in Bangalore. Because my friend told me to go. I went there and I saw the temple being built. And I said, I want to give some money. And I gave what is called Sudama Seva.
Okay.
Sudama Seva is giving 5 rupees a day.
Okay.
We didn't have much money those days. So 5 rupees was something. So I committed 5 rupees a day and I forgot about it. And suddenly one day I felt that, oh my God, I've forgotten. I must go there, give money. I and my wife went there. I told my friend that I want to go there. He said, go meet the temple president. So we went there and, we couldn't meet him. And we went inside, finished the darshan. We're going out when I heard my voice. Word my name being called by somebody. The Swamiji called my name, Mohan, what are you doing here? Because he knows me. He had come to my office and met me. Then I told him I want to meet the president. So I went and met Swami Madhu Pandit Das, who was a M.Tech from IIT Mumbai. And then he told me how much he has built this temple. He said he raised 35 crores to build the temple. A lot of the papis in Bangalore, policemen and all these government officials who take bribes and all, they also gave money to build the temple. And I said, that's fantastic. I said, now that you build the temple, why don't you do something else, do some public service? He said, what? I said, run a school. Run a school for children. He said, no, school will be difficult, blah. Then I said, do a midday meal. What is a midday meal? I said, deliver food in the school to school children. He said, why? Then I told him about the midday meal program of MGR in Tamil Nadu. MGR, the film actor, when he became chief minister, he said he wants a midday meal so that no child will be hungry. Because, children are poor. And parents go early in the morning for work. So nobody takes care of them. They go to school, they're hungry, they faint. It's a terrible situation in many parts of India those days, even now. Now much less. MGR did that, but his bureaucrats were good bureaucrats, said this is non-planned, you don't have money, blah, blah, blah. They stalled it. Then one day he called all of them for lunch in his house. So they had a sumptuous meal. And then he opened the doors of his house and asked the street urchins to come and eat the leftover food. Then he told all the bureaucrats that if you don't sign the file by today, I'll send you off, I'll transfer you to the Bunda.
Okay.
So for a bureaucrat, the greatest thing is to getting a transfer to some faraway place, right? They don't like it. They will sign and do anything to do that. So they signed and they started. And in 10 years, children had grown 10 pounds heavier, 2 inches taller. And women mothers in Tamil Nadu built temples and worshipped MGR. Because for a mother, the greatest thing for a mother is a child.
Right.
And if a child is hungry, she is helpless. And if somebody giving a food to the child in school and giving education is like God to them. In Tamil Nadu, they built temples. And MGR was in New York in a coma when election time came. And he won by a thumping majority.
Right.
So the kind of love and affection they had. Because Tamil Nadu had deep poverty. The very feudal state, caste-driven, where it had deep poverty. And he solved the problem. And so I told him, he said, okay. He said, 1,000 people come to the temple every day and, I don't mind doing, but I got a condition. He said, what? I want 3 buses, vehicles to deliver. He said, okay. The vehicle costs about 35, 40 lakhs. I gave one, my friend gave one, some other person gave one. We wrote a check, gave him vehicles and he started. So when he started, he first went to school, gave it to many schools around the temple in Bangalore, in Radhajinagar. And suddenly within 2 months, there were applications for 1 lakh children. So went around, raised money, set up a kitchen. We used to go there twice a week and work with them and everything. Very exciting time. But it is a very interesting thing for me because by that time, I was just the best CFO in India. We had a Nasdaq listing. We had done so much. We changed the whole corporate governance standard in India. And I was feeling that what am I going to do for the rest of my life?
And you got a purpose.
Yeah. So, at some stage in your life, you become empty, you want a purpose. This gave a purpose, a very large purpose, work that will take many, many years to do. But every day you can see progress. So it's very exciting, gave a new purpose in my life. So it is a great thing.
So you mentioned about poverty. Do you see the difference between rich and poor in the country?
Of course, there's a difference between rich and poor in the country.
What are some actionable steps that we can take in order to, gap?
Look, we must focus on giving education to every young person. Education, the greatest gift a society can give. And the education gift should be given to people who can't afford free of cost. Because many people should not go into debt to get a good education. So government should at least have 50% of young people should be in government schools and government colleges. So I think it's very important for us to make sure that education is top of the agenda. Because only education which transforms young people transforms a society. And I think it's important. So I think that is one. Second, we must build good infrastructure so the industry comes and provides jobs to young people and everybody else. And third, we must make sure that everybody gets the basic necessities of life through a welfare state. Not to pamper them, not to give too much of money, but to make sure nobody will starve, there'll be enough food on the table, etc.
Or do you also see some gap in India, the northern India and the southern India?
South India is more educated. South India has got better infrastructure, it had better governance. North India had more caste and politics. Lallu was the ultimate disaster. It represented all that is wrong with North India. And even the Samajwadi Party, the casteist party, did everything that's wrong. So there's no focus on education. There's no focus on development. And they're still behind. But now Yogi is doing a great job in UP. UP will shine in the future. UP is really doing very well. So Bihar is still down. West Bengal is down because of CPIM and because of the communal policies of the current government there.
The current education system, do you think it prepares us for the leaders?
Look, there is no education system in the world which has 43 million young people in college, which graduates 10 million people. So let's not belittle our education system. No education system has ever prepared anybody for the world, okay? Prepares you enough to up to a point. It's always behind the curve. Very few universities lead in creating what is required for tomorrow. If you go to the United States, barring the top 20% of university, the rest are all community colleges. They're not great. Same thing all over the world. So we have large numbers. We have to go through the process. But like Amartya Sen said once, a bad school is better than no school.
Nice.
So because you see, you go through college, 3 years you spend in college. By the time you're growing up, your worldview gets formed there. You meet people, you network, you go around, you learn how to negotiate, you learn how to live together in society. Going through that is a great experience.
And what do you think? What is needed for the tomorrow?
No, what is needed for tomorrow is very clear. We need a good, strong government in Delhi, which will be corruption-free, which will build great infrastructure for India, which will have good industrial policies whereby industry can come and create jobs. We need a decent taxation system so we don't overtax people and increase consumption. And then we also need good policies to ensure that there is peace and security in the country and there's justice. Today, the biggest challenge for a republic is the broken justice system. The constitution promises us justice, but there's no justice. Whereas any case that goes to court takes 8-10 years to resolve, then it goes in appeal. It takes 15-20 years. The courts are overburdened. There's a need for greater transparency. There's a need in courts. There's a need for larger capacity, better laws. So, we suffer because of inadequate justice. You got about 250,000 people in jail because they don't have money. They're not got bail, or they don't have money for bail, and they spend more than 50% of the time they would have spent in jail if they had been sentenced. Because, and who cares for them? Supreme Court has said that if you spend more than 50% of time for which you would have been sentenced, you should be let free on bail, but nobody does it. Who cares? Nobody cares. The bureaucracy doesn't care. The justices and the high courts don't care. Insensitivity to poor people and to the common man is something that permeates society. So we need a good justice system. If you had a good justice system, maybe a large number of the current MPs will be in jail for corruption, for violence, or whatever it is. The cases are going on. Lallu's case is going on for 25 years.
How can we have...
You need capacity. We got 21 judges per million population. We need 50. America has got 100.
How can we have 50? How can we build the capacity?
We got to hire people. We got to invest. We need more courts, lower courts, better courts. We need technology. We need to pay our judges better, so more but higher quality people come.
So this also requires, as you mentioned now, if this justice system was fast-tracked, half of the MPs would be in jail. But it requires political will for the government to...
There is political will, but we as the people have to demand that too. Politicians don't want that. Many politicians don't want that because it pays them, no? So I think it's important for us to understand the society has to be based on justice for all. And if there's no justice or just people suffer from lack of justice, it means that people who are at the bottom, who are not powerful, get away. Today, if you are a very rich man, you can go hire the best lawyer, get bail in Supreme Court. What happened to Teesta Setalvad? What a shame for the country. Teesta Setalvad had a case, in Gujarat, and the High Court heard that she has to be arrested. She had a lawyer who went to the judges and woke them up on a Saturday, and the Chief Justice set up a court at 3 o'clock. I mean, it doesn't happen to anybody else. And there were 2 judges, and they had a split decision. Then he set up a three-judge bench at 5 o'clock and heard, and she got bail. Now, how can a person who's supposed to go to jail get bail on a Saturday or a non-working day in the Supreme Court of India, get heard by 2 judges, and because they differ, goes to a 3-judge bench and she gets bail? How can it happen? Will it happen to you and me? Will we get the same kind of justice access? We will not. Never. How can justice be selective? It's shocking. And today, some of the senior advocates will stand up before the Supreme Court and get access, which is a norm. But then what happens to the rest of us? What happens to our case?
Did you face injustice in your life? Of course. When?
I mean, I face injustice in my life when I work for a family company and there's a big row. I don't want to talk about it. I face injustice and I had to fight for when I got lower marks in my accounting and we had to fight for revaluation. I got 854. Then on revaluation, I got 92. And there was no revaluation at that point of time. And there were some occasions like that when we had a house rent case and I was abused by a lawyer in the court and the judge kept quiet. But these things happen.
And the root cause for all these injustices were?
No. The injustices happen because in human society, there will be injustice, there will be mistreatment. But what is required is a good, strong justice system which delivers justice in 2 or 3 years. The problem is the delay in giving justice. And for no reason, because we have not built up capacity. Now you create a situation where the rich get justice. You pay money to the best lawyers, you're able to get things done. And tomorrow you got a commercial dispute, you can go on in the court for 5-10 years.
Right.
Everything can be done. So where is justice? And who suffers? The ordinary person who has no power, who has no money, suffers the most.
How do you meet the most important person in your life, sir?
I married my wife in college. We met in college and married her after many years.
Okay.
Well, she's very important in my life.
From Bangalore University?
Yeah, in Bangalore itself.
Lovely. And
Law college.
And she was also studying law.
Yeah.
Tell us about, if you have to predict the future of the country, how that could be.
I think India has a very bright future because everything is coming in place.
Mhm.
We have a strong economy, a good banking system. Our educational accomplishments are going up.
Mhm.
And a lot of jobs are being created. Good infrastructure is being built. India has got a young population. The median age in Europe is 47 years.
Mhm.
Europe population, if you remove immigration, is shrinking and they will shrink. China's population is already shrinking. Japan's population is shrinking. So at a time, and we are in the midst of the digital revolution.
Mhm.
And in the digital era, India is among the top 3 countries in the world: United States, China, and India. Europe is not there.
Mhm.
Industrial revolution is led by Europe. Now the digital revolution is being led by the United States, China, and India. And India and the United States are together because of human capital.
Right.
So I think, we are in a time when the prospects for India are very good. A clean, good economy. We had Modi for 10 years who has transformed India.
Mhm.
If Modi comes back for the next 5 years, I think we're going to be in great shape.
Okay.
We'll reach 5 trillion.
Uh-huh.
Our PPP GDP is 12.2 trillion. And we're going to see the best, highest growth in our history in the next 5-10 years.
Do you also think, how can we, solve for the shrinking problem for us? Because it happened to every country who were enjoying the same demographic dividend which currently we are facing. Our population was also...
Our population will start shrinking maybe by 2035, 2040. In 2035, certainly in some Indian states like Tamil Nadu,
Mhm.
maybe 2040, 45 for India,
Mhm.
because fertility has now come to 2.0.
Mhm.
The key thing is people are living longer, which is
Mhm.
very good. But after a certain point, because today I think people live up to 72 or 75,
Mhm.
out of some particular time, it doesn't go up so easily.
Right.
It goes up that easily because of good health facilities and good diet, etc. But now I think we are beginning to see a time when the South has a fertility of 1.7, and 1.7 is quite low. It's had fertility of 1.7 for the last 5-6 years. When the new census comes out, we'll get more data to find out how fertility is. Even UP's fertility has come to 2.4. Bihar has come to 2.9. Bihar has got the highest fertility
Mhm.
because it's got the least literacy, least people in college.
Mhm.
So education is a direct correlation with fertility, especially the education of the girl child.
Right. You have spoken about what happened to Byju's on a couple of platforms. We don't want to know about that. Tell us what a young person can learn, 2 or 3 insights that a young person can learn from whatever, however the Byju's situation has evolved.
No, what a young person should learn is to be a bit more, let us say, careful about capital. Don't raise too much of capital. Don't blow up too much of capital, trying to grow too fast, making huge losses. And make sure that you build proper teams, proper processes, have a good board.
And
So chasing valuation and trying to say that, I'm going to be the best company because the valuation is the highest is not a sustainable thing. Because, in markets, valuation goes ahead of value creation. But what is important is value creation. Are you delivering value to your customers? Are you delivering value to society? If you do that, you have a sustainable business model.
And
so I think you got to be very careful in raising capital. You got to deal with people, build system, build teams, build good governance practices, build a good board. All the things have to be done.
what is a good board and how much is too much?
Nothing is too much. A good board is a board which performs where there are checks and balances,
Mhm.
where people have open discussions
Mhm.
and they adhere to good standards.
And-
So Infosys has a very good board, had a very good board, still has a good board.
Mhm.
And I think many companies have good boards because every board member should contribute.
Tell us some people that you learn from even till today.
No, I learned a lot from Narayan Murthy in business because I worked with him, I reported to him.
Tell us one insight, one story, which one incident, one experience with Narayan Murthy sir, which kind of, made you, had a huge learning curve for you.
Murthy was very decisive when it came to taking decisions. Murthy heard from a lawyer that Fanish Murthy had a sexual harassment case.
Okay.
And he had hidden the case from the company. So Murthy came to know and immediately took a decision to let him go. Fanish Murthy was the star. But Murthy said the company comes first, governance comes first, standards come first.
Mhm.
So he was prepared to sacrifice anybody who didn't, let us say, conform to the norms that we had
Mhm.
at any point of time, putting the company first. So a lot of examples like that. So, you learned what is important, how to do it. And you had a very good style. I mean, no, we discussed everything. We had very open debates and discussion. We disagreed. And we developed a consensus, the best opinion won. And anytime we felt that there was no decision, we took the decision.
What are other things that we can learn from him? As a young person, we also want to create institution like
discipline,
Mhm.
hard work.
Mhm.
You have to be first to work, last to go. Leadership by example.
Mhm.
Courage to take decisions.
Mhm.
Courage to stand up to people, not be pushed around. And a relentless execution.
Mhm.
Focus on performance. Getting people better than you into the company.
Mhm.
Creating an open, transparent, collegial culture where people can come out with ideas, share, and we can discuss many issues openly.
And
No crony culture, no favoritism,
Mhm.
doing things objectively and on merit. A lot of good things can be learned.
Then tell us one incident where he led by example. Leadership.
Well, leadership example came easily to him because, I remember many examples.
Mhm.
Because you see, when the time came when we had some economic issues, for example, market was coming down.
Which year was this?
This was after the, after 2008,
Uh-huh.
2008, and it was after the Nasdaq fall, right? At that point of time, he said we should cut the salaries of senior people and cut his own salary, but we should give more to people at the bottom.
Mhm.
And every year when salaries came, he made sure that everybody at the bottom got the increment first. So he said they're the most important people. And he followed that up. But there are no special terms for him. Being chairman, no special terms. He followed the rules.
Mhm.
He never broke any rule. All of us followed norms because leadership example is talking the walk. And he did that in very ways. He never misused anything.
Mhm.
Never kept company money and personal money separate always. Never hide his family. Never promoted anybody based on loyalty. Just sheerly on performance. Never interfered in any process for promotion, for anything else. So, a lot of things like that.
And what did you learn from the CT of India, Mr. Nandan?
No, Nandan was a very different person. He's a great thought leader. He's a person who could go market, who could go sell. He has a very nice, good persona, very friendly persona.
Mhm.
People liked him because he was very went with people and he spoke to people. He's a great thought leader. And you learn that, you got to be a good thinker. You got to be articulate. You got to, think strategically, do the many things, carry the team with you. You're the people's man and the thought leader.
So entire Infosys team, there was a theory where it was mutually exclusive. Or what was that? If I'm building a team.
said that if you want a team, you have to have people who are mutually exclusive skills and collectively exhaustive.
Mhm.
Collective exhaustive means all the things required to build a company, strategic thought, execution, technology, HR, finance.
Mhm.
All those skills are available with the team and each one handles that. And between what they have in terms of exclusivity, each one focus on one area because they become experts, domain experts. And focusing on an area means that you're able to do things much better.
What are you teaching to your grandchildren now?
No, they're just small boys. They're just 3 years and 8 years, 8 months.
Are you learning from him?
Yes, of course. I'm learning a lot. I'm learning patience because my grandson has taught me patience.
How?
I never had patience. Though when you deal with the child will not listen to you. The child will want to do things. The child will play. The child wants to experience everything. So you've got to be patient with the child, listen to the child and watch it play. They take joy in small things because for them it's important. They're discovering. So you can't hurry the child. It eats slowly. It wants to play all the time. It will not, it will not go to sleep easily. So you've got to be patient. So a young child teaches you patience. And the unconditional love the child has for you, is amazing. And the discovery, the child questions you always.
First principle thinkers?
No, because you see, please remember, the child is growing up. The child doesn't experience, doesn't know so many things. So it looks at things with wonder and asks questions. And it's very interesting.
Right. What were some questions that he asked you which kind of, shook you?
No, nothing. Just questions about why this, why that, why this, why that, why this. He was on asking questions based on one point.
And what was the best advice that you received in your life, sir?
The best advice, well, my parents told me to be always honest and truthful. And my teachers told me in college to always challenge authority.
When was the last time you challenged the authorities?
Well, a couple of, maybe one year back when I went on TV and said the government is very corrupt.
Okay. What happened then?
Nothing. The chief minister called me up and said, why are you saying this? What have I done? And all that.
Delhi chief minister?
No. But look, these things happen only in Karnataka. In Delhi, if you criticize, they will ghetto you or send the ED, GD and all that. You can't criticize. In Bengal, if you criticize, they will ghetto you or beat you up, but goons will come. In Tamil Nadu, the goons will come. In Maharashtra also, they'll beat you up. You know, politics of vindictiveness is there. You've got fear.
Mhm.
In Karnataka, where people are good, even if you criticize them, they'll call you and speak to you and ask you why is this, what can we do, and all that. Karnataka is a great state. Good people.
And so
Yeah, we can live fearlessly in Karnataka.
the current water problem that the Bangalore city is facing, what are something that the other cities should learn from, and what are some
No.
actionable steps that we can take?
All cities should learn that when you deal with large population area,
Mhm.
you must always build up surpluses and capacity well in advance. For example, America has enough water in storage to meet 1.5 to 2 years requirement for the entire country, across the country.
Mhm.
India's storage is only about 8 months, 9 months. We have not built enough storage capacity. Bangalore requires about 2,500 million liters of water a day.
Mhm.
Bangalore gets 1,450 million liters from the Kaveri, of which maybe 25-30% is lost in distribution by leakages, and 650 million liters per day from borewells. Now, borewells are shrinking, right?
Mhm.
And we're supposed to have a Kaveri fifth phase, which is supposed to give us 750 million liters. We're supposed to go on stream in April or May. They say it is going to happen. They're going to start testing in April. We have to wait and see.
Mhm.
So there's a water shortage because the monsoon has not been good. The
Right.
lakes are not filled up. Underground water has been used, and what treated water is not being used the way it should be. So we got maybe 100 million, 1,000 million liters a day of treated water,
Mhm.
but that's not being used properly.
Right.
So Bangalore's problem is a governance problem, lack of care, lack of attention.
Hmm.
Government takes out taxes, give it some freebies to people to win seats in the legislature. They don't care about Bangalore. Bangalore's under-invested. It's a very rich city.
Mhm.
The Karnataka government is quarreling with the center saying, oh, we pay so much of taxes, give us less. Bangalore pays 60% of tax for Karnataka. We hardly get anything. It's peanuts. Right? Same thing happens for states. What they're complaining, they're also doing the same thing.
You mentioned about tax terrorism, and recently posted
Tax terrorism.
where you posted a meme where the Shravan Kumar was there. On the one end, it was the HNIs who were taking loans, and on the back side, it was all the rich poor people. And the burden was carried by middlemen, the middle class of India. How do you think we can solve this problem? Because you were also in the committees.
No, you see the tax terrorism problem has come down because now assessments for 97% of people is done almost instantaneously using technology.
Mhm.
They get refunds on time, but there are high pitch assessments. The tax disputes have gone up from 4.5 lakh crores to in 2014 to 12 lakh crores in 2023.
Mhm.
Then the budget document, because people make high pitch assessments, and there is no action taken against the income tax officer who loses in appeal. About 65-75% of appeals are lost by the government. That means when you make a big demand and then you go in appeal, government loses, but nobody cares. In Infosys, we won that ESOP case in Supreme Court. For 3 years, they didn't give effect to it. My colleague had to go to the High Court and say that we're going to seek contempt
Mhm.
because they were not, giving effect to the Supreme Court order. Okay, they don't care. Then the problem is there's no oversight in the department. There needs to be better oversight. Look at all the disputes. Why should there be so much of disputes? Why should people get so much of, this year they're given 3.3 lakh crore refunds.
Hmm.
Why should there be overpayment of tax and refund for the corporate sector too? I mean, look at LIC. LIC got 25,000 crore refund about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I mean, I tweeted and said, look, after so many years you got refund, the person who raised the demand and took the money from LIC, why didn't you take action against him for wrong assessment?
Sir, you spoke about a lot of problems, right?
No problem. There are problems in society. There are problems in every country. It is all getting solved. It takes time to get solved. We need people who will tackle problems and solve them one by one. There's no society is problem-free.
Right. What can we do to solve these problems?
What
These
can who
problems, the young folks, the young people.
Well, you should focus on your career. You should focus on achieving learning. You should focus on your skill development and forget about the rest. It's not the time for you to be social agitators or social actors because you're not going to add value.
Mhm.
You hardly have any knowledge. You hardly have any exposure. You are very immature in your thoughts.
What are some
But
things?
I don't like young people becoming activists and spending a life running around and all that. That's not what you're supposed to do.
Mhm.
Focus on your career. Focus on everything you do. There's a time for everything.
You had an amazing career, sir.
Yes.
And what are certain insights, wisdom that you would give to any
No.
young person who's wanting to, willing to build a good career for him or herself?
Look, first you have to be self-motivated. You need enormous energy.
Mhm.
You got to be self-motivated. You got to work very hard. You got to have relentless execution. You got to keep going. You should never give up.
Mhm.
And you should do better and better. Skill yourself, educate yourself, become more productive. Because at the end of the day, what is your greatest asset? Your life is your greatest asset. And in life, what is the greatest asset? Your knowledge, your ability to do things, and your skill. That's the investment that you have to make in yourself. And you have to be productive.
Mhm.
You should be able to do things at shortest possible time with the highest quality.
Also,
And you got to be self-motivated. Self-motivated means every time you do work, if you expect rewards are not going to come. So if you are going to be led by rewards, then somebody else, if you are employed, you're led by a reward because you get a bigger increment, you get more promotions, then somebody can control you. Because nobody can put a good person down. And when you build a career, you get skills, you work very hard, you do many things, you got value in society. That's more important than waiting for the next increment and getting disillusioned and getting frustrated. Never get frustrated.
right.
Because please remember, whatever you do, the sun will rise in the morning and set in the evening.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter whether you are there or not.
And when you speak about skills, sir, what do you think? What would be the future skills in the world of AI? Have you thought about it?
Of course, look, AI is a tool to make you productive.
Mhm.
If you take 4 hours to do a job with AI, maybe you can do it in 20 minutes.
Right.
Because AI can look at enormous amount of data, sieve to it, and then come with a decision or a recommendation. Because how do you take decisions?
Mhm.
You identify the problem, then you collect the data as to how the problem arose.
Mhm.
Then you come out with 3 or 4 solutions, how you can solve the problem. You test it and then use it.
Mhm.
So I think the important thing must understand is that all this requires effort. So you can post a problem to an AI algorithm and it'll come with the answer because, it will have scanned the web and found who else has the problem,
Mhm.
what is the problem, what is the solution, what will be the impact and do it, right?
So, do you find yourself using ChatGPT and other AI tools?
Yeah, I use it sporadically, that's all. To me, it has no material impact on my life.
And what are some things that you are reading nowadays, sir?
Well, I'm reading Vikram Sampath's book, Waiting for Shiva.
Okay.
I'm interested in my culture and this thing.
Mhm.
Then I read Arya Sen Gupta's book, The Colonial Constitution, which is very interesting.
Okay. How do you see yourself in the next decade? What is on your bucket list?
Travel around India. I want to see many parts of my country. I want to travel around the world to spend more time with my family.
And have you heard about this thing called JRD Tata?
Yeah, I mean, the train that goes around, right?
Yes. Did travel teach you something?
Yeah, you see new things, new faces. You see a wonderful world.
When did you travel last time to have a best experience?
So I went to Hampi 2 months back.
Okay. How was it?
Fantastic. I saw Hampi again after many years. Such a great civilization destroyed. So
Destroyed by?
Destroyed by this Bahami rulers in Gulbarga.
Dear sir, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Really grateful. There were a lot of insights that came out, which will really help all the students.